You can go off your
Yes.
cholesterol medication. You
Yes.
guys know all of that,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
So I think the body is remarkable and can heal, but you also have to believe you can heal your body.
So welcome. Thank you for coming. It is
my
really
God.
a pleasure to have you.
I'm so honored to be here. Thank you. Like, I always am honored to get to speak about what I do because, I have been on a long journey trying to get to this place where I am now. And like you were saying earlier with your introduction, thank you for that beautiful introduction. I have never felt better in my life. And I always say I'm 63 and I feel so energized and so at peace and like
For those of you just listening, you would not guess that. But
You look amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I'll give you a disclaimer here. We've done nothing for her.
Right, not yet.
No.
Not yet. But I want people to know they can feel good in age, and not have all the symptoms or health issues or, things that we have lived with when we are aging that we think we're gonna, they're never gonna go away. All those menopause or sleep or weight or, just brain fog. I mean, the list is endless.
Definitely.
Sure. And it's so interesting because everyone wants the easy way out of everything. And especially nowadays, there's been a huge craze of getting injections to lose weight and things like that. Whereas I think just changing your lifestyle and having healthy living with healthy foods and having a kickstart with a 3 or 5 day cleanse, which to be honest with you, it's not even a cleanse. It's so delicious. You don't even feel it. I think that's a great way to change your habits. Tell us how you came up with everything. Give us your story about why you came up with this and how you really thought that by just treating yourself with nutrition, you could get rid of something that's really, you had a cancer.
Right.
And for a lot of people that they don't even think about that.
I know, they don't. And I treat a lot of cancer patients too, and they don't even know what to eat. And the doctor's like, you can eat anything, going through chemo and radiation. And, it's so irritating to hear that. But, growing up, I was always sick. So long story short, I think I had a low white blood cell count. So I was immune compromised my whole life, and I always got every illness. And so I was constantly behind the 8 ball, feeling not healthy, and I labeled myself a sick kid. I think the family did too. And mentally I felt fatigued because I was always dealing with these health issues. So, but all I knew was, let's climb the corporate ladder, make as much money as possible. I was living in New York for 10 years in the advertising business. And finally I was just exhausted and depleted. And I said to my husband, it was a very funny story. I said, we're moving west. And he's like, New Jersey? Like, no, west.
You're like, no.
We're going to California because I need to go back west. I'm from Arizona originally. I just need to go back to sunshine and like a slower life and just calmer life. So we did come to LA, and I landed this incredible job with Vogue magazine, but it was massively stressful, like the most stressful job I've ever had. And so then 6 months later, I got diagnosed with the Hodgkin's lymphoma. And it was very strange because I didn't have symptoms, because I didn't know what my symptoms were because I was always sick and always tired and always brain fog. And so I was having a massage, and the masseuse felt a lymph node on my collarbone. And she's like, ooh, you shouldn't have a lymph node swollen on your collarbone. And then I went to get it checked out, and the next thing I knew, it was cancer. And thank God for her. That was really remarkable. So if I just want to put out, massages are really kind of important to check out your body. I mean, there's a lot of great lymphatic stuff going on these days, which is really important because it's lymphatic cancer that I had. And then the other thing that happened to me during the process was one of the doctors I went to see, it was a third doctor, and I was like tired of the doctors, and he was at St. John's. And he sat me down. I had all my scans and everything, and it was an early stage of cancer. And he says to me, are you happy? Do you love what you do? Do you love your husband? Do you love your life? Do you love yourself? And I'm like, wait, what kind of questions are those from a radiologist, oncologist, radiologist?
A radiologist, wow.
And I was like freaking blown away. I hysterically started to cry. And I'm like, I don't even know what that feels like. So then I realized, wow, that was a huge disconnect for me. And he's like, we need to get your mental stability and like just all of that together, because cancer is very mentally related. If you're not feeling good about yourself, you're going to downregulate your immune system. So if you've been living in this fight or flight mode, this was 30 years ago.
Wow.
And kudos to that physician.
Totally.
Because,
Yes.
that is not a typical question that's offered by an oncologist, radiologist.
Absolutely not.
Just intuitive right there.
It was wild. So I knew, because I had the compromised immune system all my life. I was so petrified of chemo. I thought that was going to really take me down. And so radiation felt better. I didn't want to do the radiation, but I had a lot of friends and family freaking out about the diagnosis. So it was like, okay, I got to do something to calm these people down.
Right.
But that wasn't so fun either, that radiation part. But I did find someone to do half the radiation that they recommended.
Oh, wow.
A guy at Cedars who was also pretty phenomenal. But my oncologist literally fired me. He said, I can't treat you because you're not doing what I recommend, the chemo, the full radiation. It was crazy. But, I took my health into my own hands. I was an advocate and found somebody at Cedars that was fantastic and did the radiation. And then right then I was like, okay, now I got to figure out, I got to go into therapy, figure out what's going on with my mind, get myself into a better place, and also start to find some self-love, and then also start to eat better. And of course, we had landed in LA for a reason. The universe was looking out for me because it was Mrs. Gooch's before Whole Foods. And, there was great farmers markets and there was just better food than New York. And also there was a juice place called Beverly Hills Juice that's still there.
So good. It was the original juice place that was always been there.
Totally.
Now you have everything.
Right. So it was walking distance from where we lived.
Okay.
And I went there every day, got a juice, and, started eating. I went plant-based, which probably wasn't the best thing for me because, I was a little bit weak with the plant-based, didn't know how to do it right. But I feel with adding in all these nutrients and really getting hydrated myself and doing all the modalities that are offered here, like colonics and, yoga and massages, and I went to see a naturopath and then went to a therapist and read every self-help book. I just dove into everything.
It's amazing.
And I had the time because I got the time off of work, and I slowly started to gain this momentum for myself.
So instead of feeling sorry for yourself, you actually took control of the reins. And
I did.
Really, that's it. That is amazing.
I was lucky. I don't know. Somebody was looking out for me because I could have easily gone into a hole and felt sorry for myself. But I felt like, I wanted a better life for myself. I didn't want to live like I'd been living for 31 years, 32 years. I was always stressed and nothing was ever good enough, or I didn't ever feel enough. So those were huge things. And then, so I was lucky. I did heal. But after the radiation, I got hypothyroidism because they radiated my thyroid. And then I got Hashimoto's and I got celiac and all this crappy stuff. I got anxiety, insomnia, but I also dove in and tried to figure out how to deal with those things holistically too, which was great because there's great doctors here as well, a little ahead of, the times. I mean,
absolutely.
I appreciate the mix of Eastern and Western medicine here. And I had never really heard about integrated medicine until we came out to California. Because it just wasn't something that was popularized. And listen,
not in med school, they never talked about it.
Training in Western medicine, we knew that, you have a symptom, you treat it with a medicine.
Yeah.
And now, we look at it so differently. There's so many great treatments out there. I'm so glad that you found that track because, listen, you could have gone down one particular pathway of traditional medicine, or now you have access to holistic medicine, which it's a big umbrella term for so many different modalities.
Right. And it was interesting because I also got really lucky and I met Dr. Andrew Weil.
Oh, wow.
I know.
Okay.
Arizona.
Yeah.
You got some big players here. I like that.
And then
so he's the father of really the integrative medicine and holistic medicine.
Totally. So while I was sick, someone introduced me to him, and he's the guy that started the school at University of Arizona, right, for integrative medicine.
Absolutely.
And he also kind of helped me a little bit along the way, navigate some of my supplements, a little bit of my food and stuff. So that was really fantastic too. And then I went on to have 2 healthy girls that I have today. And then my husband, was diagnosed 11 and a half years later. I don't know if you know this.
No.
With non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Oh my.
At 43
What
and a
are the
half.
chances? I mean, that is insane.
Two parents, a couple in the same house having cancer, lymphatic cancer, diagnosed at 43 and a half. He did the whole Western route. He did not do anything holistic and died at 45 of fungal pneumonia. His immune system was so compromised. You guys,
I don't like
he
that
did
story.
two bone marrow transplants in a year and a half. He was at the City of Hope, which was a great place, phenomenal
And normally
place.
it's curative. The bone marrow transplant for...
Right. He did his own, he did a donor, and then his immune system was so compromised, the fungal pneumonia took him. It was awful. So then I'm here, 45 years old, two girls, 10 and 7, and then I'm like, can you cuss on your show? What the fuck am I going to do with my life?
You can do whatever you want.
I mean,
my God.
shit. Then I was depleted again because I'd gone through a year and a half of in and out of hospitals with him. So that's when I really took the reins, and I went to school and got certified in Eastern and Western medicine in Beverly Hills.
Oh, wow, okay.
And then I didn't want to become a nutritionist, and I didn't know what I was going to do with it, but I actually graduated and I created a cleanse for Cafe Gratitude and M Cafe and Erewhon.
Cool.
And I did a food delivery program for Earth Bar. They hired me, and that was because of my advertising marketing background. And then I also had this nutrition thing happening. And so I just that's kind of how it all started.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Pivot. I love that. Honestly, the background in advertising really helped.
It did.
Of course.
And the marketing.
Yeah, of course. You know exactly what,
Yeah.
how to reach an audience. And
I did.
Sometimes that's the toughest part. There's so many new inventions and great products and things like that just never make it there.
Right.
So that was
Right.
That was amazing.
That was brilliant. And so I did that for quite a few years. Like Cafe Gratitude was probably 5 years, and M Cafe was 6 years, and Erewhon was very short time. But and I have a juice at Erewhon now, so I designed juices for them. There's a few things on the cleanse we designed a long time ago, which I'm kind of still blown away with, the fact that they still are good and still people love them.
Delicious.
But after doing all those cleanses for other people, my assistant at the time loved to cook, and she's like, why don't we do our own? And so that's how it started, and it was 9 years ago. And we just started doing like soups and tonics and lattes and simple things. We didn't really do salads. And that started to take off, and then it's just grown into what you know now, which is the Detox tonic was created 9 years ago, which is a gut drink.
Which is delicious.
Is delicious. And the bar was created 9 years ago. And then we always did bone broth. So we do a vegan broth and a bone broth. And then the salads kind of took on their own life during COVID. And we started doing different salads and salad dressings to make it more interesting. And then the soups have always been around, and the lattes have always been around. We've always given digestive enzymes to help people break down the food because they're going from animal protein to a plant-based 5 days. And I am a believer in eating animal protein. I'm a very middle of the road person. I eat a little bit of everything except for sugar or a lot of gluten or dairy or inflammatory stuff or processed food. But I just want people to have a break from the animal protein, because I don't know if you guys know, but it takes 14 hours for animal protein to go through your small intestine.
Wow.
90 minutes for plant-based protein. It's mind-boggling. Cow dairy, animal protein takes forever to get through.
It's me.
So, so things can stay in there and ferment, and people eat breakfast, lunch, dinner, and they're not going to the bathroom enough, and we should be every time we eat.
You bring that up about going to the bathroom, and a lot of people will tell you can see how healthy you are by just looking at your stool.
You have truly understood that phrase, you are what you eat. Mm-hmm. How can foods play such a pivotal role in your overall well-being?
Well, they're huge. I mean, next to mindset, I think, that's the biggest thing. And I think that it's not rocket science here, you guys. It is about eating real whole food. Right. It's just, trying to remove the processed food, the bad oils, or, the things that are inflammatory, like cow dairy, not all dairy is bad. Goat and sheep are easier because they have different casein molecules, so they're easier to digest. Animal protein is not bad. We just kind of overdo it. Coffee's not bad, but we overdo that. And also, sometimes if it's not organic, it can be moldy and have mycotoxins. I mean, just eating clean, whole food is really the ticket. And also, when I talk to my clients and I'm like, we need 8 to 10 vegetables a day, their eyes go, what? I can't do that. That's crazy. So how I do that with people and how I did it with myself, because I felt a world of difference and still do to this day doing this, is I'll make a green juice or I'll throw greens into a smoothie. So it's so easy. You don't, maybe you don't want to have a juicer because that could be a pain in the ass, but you can throw all these greens into a juicer and it's cups of vegetables. And you can get 4 to 5 cups in just a juice and drink it in the morning and feel, hydrated, and you get all these vitamins and minerals that go into your bloodstream and into your cells, and you don't have to digest them. So it's not like taking a capsule and it's your multi. And that has been like incredible. And then just making sure you add more vegetables into your diet. I mean, that's where the good stuff is, the phytonutrients, the antioxidants, the vitamins and minerals. So it's like having a balanced meal. And we know, Mediterranean is really healthy. I mean, that's going to stay around forever, I believe. It's just about everything in balance and not overdoing it. And the sugar is a huge issue these days. And everybody's blood sugar is way too high.
Very true.
And crazy.
Processed sugars, seed oils, all these things that, mess with the milieu of your normal physiology.
Right.
First of all, how did you decide what goes into it and what's in it? And what do you think the average person should expect after this type of cleanse?
Yeah, it's such a good question because I don't even know how that all came about. But it is stuff that I eat. It's how I eat. So I guess it's more about like sort of tried and true. And I have, it's been 9 years, so we've been investigating and experimenting with people like you, saying this is good, this isn't good. I don't feel good with this. I feel good with that. So, and I'm a foodie. I love food. So, I don't just love healthy food. I love like lots of food. So,
and you can tell if you eat any of the cleanse, I mean, the salad dressings are delicious. Yeah. They really, really are.
Thank you.
But they're healthier.
Yeah.
Because they're not
clean.
But you'll see there's not a ton of oil. It's just, they really are delicious. So
thank you.
Again, most of the time when you think about a cleanse, you think about drinking something that's going to make you go to the bathroom, pretty much, right? But with Elissa, it's very different. Whether you do the 3-day or the 5-day, you'll get a box delivered to your house that's all labeled, and it'll say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It'll tell you morning, lunch, dinner. It'll tell you snack. I mean, it is so easy.
You don't have to think about it.
It really, really is.
Put your brain away.
And the other thing is, at least for me, I was never hungry. Now, most of the time,
that's good to hear.
When people do a cleanse, they're always like, oh, I'm on a cleanse. I'm not, Now, obviously, I didn't go out and drink. I didn't do anything else those 3 or those 5 days. I felt amazing. Mm-hmm. And did I lose some weight? I did. I probably lost a couple pounds. I don't weigh myself because I'm weird like that. But it was so easy that if anyone wants to do a little reset or does they do want to do a cleanse, I think it makes it easy because it tastes good. I find it really easier to do it with your partner, whether you do it with your wife or you do it with your girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever it is. I think it makes it like this thing where let's take out our tonic and have it for the morning, and let's take the magnesium at night. And I think you've thought each and every step of this it's thought out in the sense that there are snacks, everything's there from the digestive enzymes to the magnesium for sleep at night, and it's delicious.
Thank you.
So you really kind of combined everything to make people want to do it. Most of the time, diets are not.
No.
And this is not a diet, again. It's more of just a reset and a cleanse.
You can reset your body in 5 days. So if you take out gluten, sugar, inflammatory foods, processed foods, you can reset in 5 days. That's what, and then doing the Cafe Gratitude one and the MCAF way, I handheld those cleansers. So for all those years, Cafe Gratitude's raw vegan and MCAFE is more macrobiotic. The people on the macrobiotic did better than the raw vegan because, some people just don't do well with just raw food and vegan. They want
tough
some
on their belly sometimes.
Exactly, tough on their gut. So I got to see what worked and what didn't work on all of those. The juice cleanses too. I've done those. I've done all the cleanses.
So tough.
Yeah, so tough. And lots of sugar a lot of times. So, I got to experiment and basically handheld these cleansers to see what they liked and what they didn't like. And I still do to some degree. They have access to me, like unlimited access to our staff. So if anything goes wrong, they don't feel good. Because we do have people say, I haven't gone to the bathroom in 3 days. So I definitely can easily give tips on, okay, this is what you need to go get. This is what you need to do. It's probably too much fiber for you at the moment because you're not used to all this fiber because it's a ton of fiber. You get over 50 different vegetables in 5 days. Like,
it's amazing.
Who could say that?
Amazing.
Like, it's crazy. And I just want people to fall in love with vegetables and fall in love with good, healthy food that tastes good. Because I think if they feel good at the end of the 5 days, like you do, they're going to continue somewhat. They're not going to do it perfectly.
Absolutely.
But they're going to add these things into their...
And it's interesting that you say, the vegan or vegetarian diet, it was really looked down upon for a long time. But now you have some of the most world famous athletes. You got Tom Brady, who arguably is probably the best of all time, really, and his longevity is something to be said. He doesn't eat any animal-based products. So it's interesting to say that. And some of the other ones, I don't know, remember we watched the guys that were lifting a ton of weight? And, and there was a show also on Netflix or something. So there's something to be said about it. But
they can build muscle without all that animal protein, right?
I agree.
Yeah.
But I do like the way you do it in the sense, just a little bit of everything. I don't think you need to stop anything in life.
I'm going to go back to that in a little bit. But, there are some experts out there that say that sometimes doing cleanses releases toxins into the system that essentially overtakes the liver. Liver can't handle it. What's the easiest way to actually detox the body? Do we use any supplementation, or is it strictly the vegetable cleanse and, trying to readjust to reset the body?
I mean, I would say the easiest is to just reset with food, and definitely there are phenomenal supplements that can help the liver detox, help the gut, get healthier, also detox. There's like incredible stuff out there, but I would say the most important thing is hydration. So we have a dehydrated society, cellular dehydration, and we drink all this beautiful water, but we just pee it out because we don't have minerals in our body to absorb the water into the cells. So, I mean, I think that's huge. We need water desperately, also to increase motility, to also have the brain work. And if you're dehydrated, your adrenaline and cortisol will be pumping out of your adrenals. I mean, it's just like that in itself is detoxifying. If we can women are supposed to get 94, men are up to like 120, but you can get a certain percentage from your food. If you're doing a juice or you're doing fruit or you're doing things, that are hydrating, but we take over-the-counter synthetic medications. We drink a lot of caffeine, animal proteins, dehydrating, right, cow dairy, like certain things that we're doing every day that we don't realize are super dehydrating. So we're way behind the 8 ball. So I think detoxifying is all about like getting hydrated. And then I love the green juices. Or the green, blended drinks, just like they will be detoxifying. Parsley, cilantro are huge heavy metal detoxifiers and also great, celery and cucumber are amazing. Cucumber is great for the kidneys. Celery is great for the liver. I mean, there's a lot of great vegetables that are going to detoxify the body. So I would say you don't have to go on any hardcore, like starvation, water cleanse, even though people do feel great on those things, and maybe
they're great. I mean, there's a lot of new data now that shows less is more.
Exactly.
And starvation is good.
Yeah.
And, the intermittent fasting is the way to go. And there's real data behind it. So the other thing is really less is more.
Yes.
Yeah, I think
portion control.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Portion control, caloric restriction, definitely. There are so many different schools of thought when it comes to intermittent fasting. I think the idea out there is we as Americans eat way too much.
We do.
And so the idea is, we're using intermittent fasting as an outlet where we say, okay, eat within this certain time period.
And then grow.
You can gorge yourself and do whatever. But it's really, the idea is restricting calories. Caloric restriction. I told you I was going to go back to this because on previous podcasts, we've had both Stephen Gundry, who wrote The Plant Paradox. We had Paul Saladino, who's the Carnivore MD. It's interesting, especially with the advent of social media, that there are followings, and so it's almost like you're a left-wing extremist versus a right-wing. But what are your thoughts when you talk? Gundry says that some of the Plants have their own defense mechanisms, and they're not great for everybody.
Don't eat tomatoes.
Listen, if you talk about Tom Brady,
Right.
he's vegan, but he eliminates nightshades and things like that.
Right.
Then you've got Paul Saladino, who says, look, I do agree that we should have a few vegetables here and there, but the majority of them are bad, and you should be eating red meat every day in the form of liver and kidney and things like that.
And raw butter and raw cheese. And
each one brings out data and says, this proves it.
Right.
What are your thoughts? I mean, I love because you initially qualified everything that you were about to say by saying that moderation is key and that you don't solely eat plants. So again, going back to that, we've got two differing philosophies, one way on the other end. What are your thoughts after all this experience and what it's done for you?
I think that what they're both saying is true. So definitely because there is data and there is truth to it. But also I find that when people go to extreme measures of eating certain ways, whatever it is, it's stressful.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't eat legumes and beans with gundry, and I can't have cucumbers, and I can't have tomatoes, and
it's too much.
Can't have nightshades. Some people have inflammatory responses to nightshades. My clients, we talk about that because you can tell when you are inflamed when you eat something like eggplant or, tomatoes, and it's a good idea to take those away. But I'm a huge believer that you can heal your body and heal your gut and be able to eat those things again, So I think, I've had clients that couldn't eat nightshades now can eat nightshades because their gut's healed and they've gotten their body back in order. So, I've seen stage 4 cancer heal holistically. Man, if stage 4 cancer can heal, right?
Amazing.
You can go off your diabetes medication, you can go off your cholesterol medication. You guys know all that, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So I think the body is remarkable and can heal, but you also have to believe you can heal your body. And if you're thinking nightshades are bad, you're gonna, they're not gonna probably agree with you, right?
Of course.
Or if you're thinking vegetables are bad, they're probably not gonna agree with you. So I think that, I do love eating some animal protein. I love red meat as well every once in a while. My iron levels tend to be low as a woman. So I just think all of it is really important to pay attention to follow your instincts in your gut. Did that make me feel good, that steak or that eggplant parmesan?
Sure.
One time I had an eggplant parmesan and I have never had such bad brain fog in my entire life. I couldn't remember my name. And I was so I went off of it for 6 months and did an intolerance test and an allergy test. And I did react to eggplant. So you can test and see what foods are good for you and what foods aren't good for you these days easily. And then went back, was able to heal my gut with things that I'm doing, and then was able to eat them again. So I think I don't want people to be so restricted and they can't do this.
We're so polarizing now in society as a whole that it's so hard to say, oh, you know what, a little bit of everything is okay. You just want to eliminate some of the truly bad stuff.
Yeah.
Seed oils.
Yeah.
Processed sugars, things like that.
Right. There's enough stress in life.
Exactly.
You did mention that you can get some blood tests to look for food intolerances. So you can look at that. In a previous podcast that we had with Guy Odisha, that we talked about that there is nutrigenomics, and you can actually look at your genetic profile as it relates to the type of supplements you may need or foods you can eat or you may react from. And so that's something for our listeners and viewers to think about. If you're having issues, or you really want to reset something, you may want to get some information.
Yeah.
And that will help guide you. So that way you're not blindly following, one particular diet or another. But,
right.
I think that's great stuff.
I do my blood work. I do blood work on all my clients these days. Ever since January, I do a thorough blood test. Everybody gets a whole CBC with differential and thyroid and blood sugar and, C-reactive protein and heavy metals and all their hormones, even when they're young in their 20s,
Sure.
DHEA, pregnenolone, all these, doctors aren't doing that. And even vitamin D, some doctors don't even check the vitamin D levels. It's wild. So we do nutrient deficiency tests, stool tests,
Amazing.
And so we can see what is at the cornerstone of why these people aren't feeling good. And then amazing, you can supplement with a few things or change their diet in a few ways. And they can really transform in a matter of weeks. that's what's so amazing.
So somebody can see you as a patient as well?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I do Zoom calls.
Oh, I didn't know that at all.
I've been doing that also for like 10 years.
Oh,
that's my favorite thing to do.
Oh, I didn't know this at all. This is amazing.
This opens up a whole new avenue here.
I love it. I just love giving people hope because I've been through so many health challenges myself and investigated. And I don't know why, but when I had cancer, I was very much into the supplement routine. I think I got into it with Dr. Weil, and he kind of educated me on it. And then ever since then, now it's $1 billion business, and it's very overwhelming. But I love supplements and high quality ones, and they've changed my life. 5 years ago, I had some insomnia, and I did plant medicine. And I have to say that was doing psilocybin.
Oh, okay.
I did psilocybin. I've done ayahuasca. I've done a lot of plant medicine in the last 4 years. That changed my life because when I was in a journey with the psilocybin, I saw that I had labeled myself a sick kid, that I was really afraid of still getting sick again, because my girls just had one parent, so to speak, and losing me. And then I also saw that I was afraid that they were going to get sick, that they're like worried. I saw all these things that I was still doing to myself, like sort of, not taking care of myself. I also saw that I didn't really fully love myself, like honor who I was. Not in an ego way, but just in a self-preservation way. I was working in the field, and like I was also doing the same thing I did in the advertising business. I was kind of like running up against the wall, like, trying to do everything. I had a book out, like just trying to like make everything work. And then I hit a wall. And then I did this journey, saw that, I wasn't really like treating myself the way I should. I wasn't calm. I wasn't relaxed. I didn't believe that I was going to be okay. And I saw that on that journey, and that changed my life forever. Like now I think about that all the time, like, oh my God, like what I was doing to myself was horrible. And then that changed. And now there's a lot of self-love and self-respect. And I also can relay that to the clients too. Like that's a big one. I do ask every client, do you love yourself? And every client says, who asked that question? No. Like it's so bizarre.
So important. If you don't love yourself, no one's going to love you.
Right.
Like bottom line. And it doesn't sound like you're arrogant or
no.
It's a necessary thing.
Necessary. And
self-preservation.
Also on the journey, my shaman said, what do you feel like you need to heal? And it was my thyroid. So I had all this energy that was happening, and very LA, very surreal here. And I put it on my thyroid, and this is serious. Did a blood test 2 months later, and my thyroid numbers were perfect.
More exciting episodes just like this. Watch here now.
Always gets worse throughout a person's lifetime, but it's usually a slow, insidious process. But many times there's increases in activity with hormonal changes of puberty, pregnancy, menopause, or other hormonal changes.